You're now tuned in to the Lady Charmaine live show, and I'm your host, Lady Charmaine. And as always, I got another great interview for you today. Now, when you think about that real good, feel good R&B music with some silk, buttery, soulful vocals to go behind it, this person might just come to mind. I tell you who it is coming up right after this. My guest today lit up the airwaves in the late 80s and 90s with love ballads like We've Only Just Begun and I've Been Searching and Here I Go Again that made the women woon and swoon. And he's here today to talk about his TV One Unsung episode airing this Sunday. Help me welcome none other than Mr. Glenn Jones. Welcome, Glenn, to the show.
Hey there, Lady C.
Well, I'm so glad you're able to make it on the show today because we're going to talk about some of them little silk, buttery, soulful vocals you got. And so, I mean, literally, your music takes us all the way back. When I was watching the screener, I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. We've only just begun. The romance ain't over. So I'm glad you're letting us know you still
That's
around,
right.
which is a blessing. So
Yes, ma'am.
So, Glenn, were you surprised to get the call from TV One letting you know that they wanted to do a special on you?
Well, you know, I always had fans, asking me when, and hitting me up saying, they thought that I should be, given that opportunity, and even, my family would say that from time to time. But when I got the call, I was happy. Actually, I had gotten a call to do Dave Hollister's do a testimonial to Dave Hollister on his episode, and I also, went in to do Sheriff Pepsi Rowley's, which I guess I ended up being on the cutting room floor. But I met the producer, and she was interested in my story, and I just appreciate her so much. It was a pleasure working with them. I had a ball, and I'm very excited about it.
Well, and I know Bow-Legged Lou appears to definitely be a huge fan of yours. I can definitely see that. So you have a good relationship with Bow-Legged Lou?
Yeah. Lou kept pushing for it too. I've known Lou from way back in the day because we used to do a lot of recording at the same studio. I used to see him up at the studio in New York. Jive Records owned a studio called Zamba. And we used to run into each other, and we were always fans of one another. And I was glad to see that he even got a chance to participate in it. And I appreciate him encouraging them to look into my story.
Now, you've been singing in church since you were about 5 years old?
Ooh, yeah, a long time ago.
When mamas put you in the choir and you gon' sing, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. I was singing in church when Mama was dressing me in short pants and them little white boots and them little hard shoes, that they used to dress us up in. And I would go to the church convention with my mother. And at first they didn't believe I could sing. I kept telling them, I can sing. I want to sing. So finally we went to a church convention in Philadelphia, and my pastor gave me the opportunity to do that. And then after that, I couldn't keep him from asking me to sing.
Okay, so that solidified your up and coming career, and then you were also mentored by none other than Mr. James Cleveland, a true gospel legend. What was it like working with him?
Oh, it was great. I used to listen to his records, even before I met him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he was such a prolific writer, and he had this one song he had written called "Peace Be Still," and that was back in the day when we had what they call a hi-fi, in the house, and it had a plug for a microphone. So I used to play "Peace Be Still" and make up these little sermonettes, on top of Peace Be Still, you know. So eventually, I got a chance to meet him out in California
Mm-hmm.
because I started a group called the Modulations from Jacksonville, Florida, which is where I'm from. And my manager met Reverend Cleveland, and he told him about the group, you know, and you know me, you know, being the leader of the group. So he invited us to his home, and we got around the piano and started singing. And he called Savoy Records in New
Mm.
Jersey and said, "I'm getting ready to sign this kid, Glenn Jones. Send me the contract." And we went and recorded at RPM. Ray Charles owned the studio at that
Mm.
time out in Los Angeles. We recorded that first record in Ray Charles' studio.
Oh, well, you have a whole lot of history there, just in your up and coming music
Yeah.
career and just all the twists and turns that God will do in your life. And then you had a chance meeting with Norman Connors because you have a smash hit that we love, which we've only just
Wow.
begun. See, I'm not a singer, but I'll sing that though.
Yeah. Well, hey, look. Well, you know that was a little further down the road because after I'd done two gospel projects, Norman Connors heard my second project,
Mm-hmm.
and he was getting ready to do a record himself, record called "Take It to the Limit," and he needed somebody to be featured on the song on there called "Melancholy Fire."
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little apprehensive about it, you know, because I had never recorded R&B. I never really even sung R&B before.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in a Pentecostal church. You
Right.
know, my mother was heavy in the church. You know, my whole family was. I was that was a dilemma for me, but I finally decided to go ahead, and Norman gave me the opportunity to take the song and rewrite the lyrics in a very inspirational way.
Right, right,
So I
right.
was more comfortable with that. Yeah, I was more comfortable with that, and I did the record, and it just took off. It became a hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I got an offer from RCA Records to sign a deal with them, and that was the beginning of my secular career.
Now, when recording artists, when you go into the studio, and do you have that unction that this song is going to be a hit? And if you do, what is that like when that magic happens in the studio and you're like, this is it? Have you ever had that feeling with one of your songs?
Yeah, sometimes you have it, and sometimes you don't,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know what the public is gonna like. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you usually try to record, you know, something that that you like or something that moves you. But when I did "Show Me," for instance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, "Show Me" was my first real big hit because it went to number three, and I had a feeling about that song because the young lady that wrote the song, she had just written another song called "You Gift of Love,"
Mm-hmm.
and I asked her for that song. She wouldn't give it to me because she kept saying, "No, it's for this girl named Whitney Houston. You
Uh-huh.
know, she's a new singer, and Clive Davis assigned her. And but I got something for you." And then she pulled out "Show Me," and I loved it from the moment I heard it. You
Okay.
know, and then ended up getting Freddie Jackson to sing the background vocals on it. You know,
Mm.
of course, he tells
Mm-hmm.
me every time he sees me, you know, because we joke about it. He tells me that he made me, he made my career because he
Oh.
sung on my record. You know,
Mm.
he sung
Okay.
background vocals.
Like that.
Yeah, we crack up about it. He's so crazy, man. You know, but you know, some records you do know.
Okay. And so what was that record that you knew was going to be a hit? Which one?
Well, we've only just begun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. That's
I
a
just had
smash.
a feeling, you know, about it. I co-wrote that song with a guy named Timmy Allen, who was a in-house producer with Jive Records, and we just had so much fun working on the record. And every time we would come up with a new part, you know, if we came up with the hook, and then we came up with the verse, and then we came up with the bridge, it was like, oh man, this is smoking, this is fire. And all that depends on what the record company does with it too. You know, you can make a good record, but if they don't market it or promote it the right way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they believed in the record from the moment they heard it, and it just kind of just took off.
Now, you've learned a lot in the years that you have now been in the entertainment industry. Can you kind of describe to us your growth and when you first hit the music scene to now?
Well, you know, when I was doing gospel, of course, I was writing. I started writing at an early age. I started writing songs when I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got with Savoy Records, I didn't understand the ins and outs of writing and publishing and everything. So my first two albums, the first two gospel albums, my publishing was taken from me.
Mm.
I didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about it because I mean, when I wrote the first album with the Made Up Mind, the album that James Cleveland produced, I didn't know anything about publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So they talked me into signing off on it.
Mm.
And then the second time, I still I ran into a dilemma, but I'm gonna wait for everybody to watch my Unsung so they'll know exactly what happened with that.
Okay.
It wasn't a good thing, and the thing about it is that I had a friend who I thought was a friend that worked for the record label, who I trusted, who talked me into signing off on it, signing my publishing away. But that's cool because now I can get it back. After so many years, it can revert back to you. So I'm about to get the publishing back from those records.
Okay.
And I just learned that you have to learn the business. You have to know the ins and outs, and you have to make decisions for yourself. And you have to be loyal to and faithful to what you believe is the right thing for you. Your music, you got to be faithful to that. You can't always let somebody else influence you as to what kind of music you should be doing. You should trust your gut, trust your instinct. And I learned to do that.
Mm. So here's a question. You said learn the music business because you have a lot of up and coming artists, and a lot of people are going the independent route with distribution deals.
Yeah.
Before they even get into the business, give us maybe 2 or 3 things that they should first learn to do? Because people get so excited, if somebody wants to sign them, but they really don't read through. What are some of the first 2 steps you really need to do before you sign on a dotted line?
Well, one thing you should do is always read the fine print, for one thing, and then never sign a contract without the proper representation. Get a lawyer. I mean, we are what we are. I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter and a singer. A producer. Law contracts are not my thing.
Right.
So you should always make sure you got somebody representing you that's gonna advise you. In the best way, and be knowledgeable. I mean, talk to people, ask questions, because there are a lot of bad deals, and usually the first deal is never going to be a great deal, no way, because they know you're desperate. They know you want the opportunity. They know that.
Okay, and what if you cannot afford representation? Because that's where it comes down to a lot of times. They cannot afford it. What can they do to make sure that they don't get taken or understand what's in there?
Well, I'm sure that they have, they have some places you can go. Maybe it might be a legal aid office or something. I don't know. You have to, I mean, whatever it takes.
Right.
Seek somebody out, before you sign your life away.
Exactly. Absolutely. So what do you want people to take away, Glenn, from watching your Unsung airing this Sunday on TV One?
I just want them to know that I still love and appreciate music, just as I've always, and the fact that I'm still doing it. I still have the passion. I still have the fire for it, and I'm in it for life. I want them to know that I never stopped doing music.
Right.
A lot of times people will say, well, what are you doing now? You still sing? Do you, do you still work? This is what I do, and, because of, the landscape and music changing, radio is not the same, and people don't even get a chance to see you on a regular basis because we don't have the outlets to be seen. We don't have the Arsenio Hall shows and all that kind of stuff anymore, and it's harder. So, you have to, adjust and adapt to, whatever tools you have. Which is social media. That's the thing of today because back in the day, we had no worries. We knew that we
Mm-hmm.
were signed to a major record label.
Mm-hmm.
They had the capital and the
Mm-hmm.
cash to
Right.
put the record out there, market it, and all of that. You don't have that anymore, and a lot of times people want to know why they haven't heard from you or why they haven't heard a new record from you. Artists have to fund their own projects now,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and it's much harder.
Now, since we do have the age of social media, and one of these clips will be going on social media, can you sing one of your probably one of your little favorite songs, or how about even one of your biggest hits? So we've only just begun. Can we get a little snippet of that?
Well, I might be able to just sing a couple of lines,
Yeah.
maybe like, we've only just begun. The romance is not over.
Mm-mm.
Got a lot of love to give. Yeah. How about that?
Oh, that was great. that was awesome. I'm like, my goodness.
All right.
I feel like, oh my goodness. You are just amazing. Amazing voice.
Oh, man.
Still got it, Glenn. You still got it. And Glenn, if people want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
On Instagram, Real Glenn Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter at Real Glenn Jones.
Okay.
And then my website is glennjonesmusic.com. I'm also on Facebook, Glenn Jones.
just Glenn Jones. Google Glenn Jones. You're going to find Glenn Jones somewhere on social media.
Just do that. How about that?
Here we go, find your social
How
media.
about that?
Well, Glenn, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. And I want to remind the audience to make sure that you guys tune in this Sunday to TV1. It's going to be the story of Mr. Glenn Jones. Make sure you check it out. I could have went into so much detail, but you got to make sure you watch it. You're going to see about his wife and what took him so long to propose and get married. You're going to see a whole lot of juicy stuff about Glenn Jones. And in the end, Mr. Glenn Jones,
right.
Your story is awesome. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I look forward to having you back.
All right.
Bye-bye. And again, everybody, make sure that you guys check out. Oh, hold up. Make sure that you check out the story of Glenn Jones. It's going to be airing this Sunday on TV1. So make sure you go ahead and, excuse me, y'all, and check that out. Have a good one. Bye-bye.